Hey everyone, it's Maribel Blue with a new Pathetically Unfiltered. If you are new here, welcome to this channel. Please take a moment and consider subscribing and hit the bell notification. That way you will get notified when I upload a new video. And if you are not new, welcome back. So this has been an uneventful week as always. It seems it's been like that since January 6th of 2025. It's just been one crazy after another. So, as you know, Mr. Donald Trump decided to take the liberty of adding his name to the John F. Kennedy Center. And as a result of him doing that, people were canceling, they were not performing, they wanted no part of the Kennedy Center. And we don't know how or why his name got added up there. Like, who took the liberty of taking all of those metal letters and putting them up there? Well, anyway, not this week, I forget when it happened, but I know that they went to court and a judge ordered to have his name removed. Thank goodness. To have Donald Trump's name next to John F. Kennedy is just insulting, to say the least. So last night, MS Now actually was doing a live of the taking down of the letters. They had not taken it down as of yet. I know at some point the workers had disappeared. I know they were building the scaffolding and then they left. And I think they left because there was some kind of last minute ditch effort with the court and the judge said no. And then at some point they came back. Now, Brian Tyler Cohen did cover as well. He was also doing a live. Now, if you don't know, once they built the scaffolding, they had this tarp they were putting over so that nobody sees the letters coming down. Because, of course, Crybaby can't let us have the joy of the letters being taken down. But somebody was able to get in and see a tiny bit of like a slit in the tarp. And I'm going to go ahead and share this with you now.
Trump finally got hit with the footage that he was really, really hoping would never see the light of day.
Initially they were saying how this solid.
That was a sleuth camera
Looks like
angle
the
catching the moment that his name was officially taken off the Kennedy Center, something that Donald Trump hoped to avoid because here's the deal. For those who tuned in yesterday, you probably noticed that more than 8 hours passed as crews erected a massive scaffolding outside of the Kennedy Center. And all the while, I remember thinking, this feels so incredibly unnecessary. Just put a guy in a boom lift, pluck the letters off, and be done with it. It's not that hard. But as the hours passed and day turned into night, it became clear why they were going that route. It's because the scaffolding was going to be covered by a massive tarp to conceal the entire process.
How's it feel to cover up for a pedophile?
And let me just stop right here. Oh, the irony that it is Latinos who are taking down his name. I saw that on a TikTok earlier and I said, I thought the same exact thing. Oh, the irony. Latinos taking down that name.
Initially they were saying how this solid.
In other words, the entire day was spent erecting scaffolding, not to strip the letters, something that, again, 30 minutes in a boom lift could accomplish. It was to conceal the view with a curtain because Trump couldn't handle the optics of the letters of his name being plucked off the building. My God. The reality is that Trump's name went up on the Kennedy Center in broad daylight, slapped it right there for the world to see. Proud, bold, shameless. But taking it down? workers unfurled a huge curtain to obscure the actual removal, because God forbid the American public gets to watch the consequences of a court ruling play out in real time. God forbid there is footage of the name coming down letter by letter. We can't have that, because that might look bad for the president. So instead, let's turn this whole thing into a giant all-night Broadway production, starring Donald Trump's ego with a supporting role from a tarp.
Wait, I can't even, because I have not watched the entire video, so I am laughing at the fact that the co-star is a tarp. You know, shame on this man. Shame on him that he thinks he is so fucking uber important. He had to put his name on top of a legacy, a president who was assassinated. And that assassination took the world by storm. I hear my parents talk about it. Like, they sent everybody home from school that day. It's not something you see, you shouldn't see. And to take away that legacy because he feels he's that important to put his name on something that shouldn't be there. There is no good legacy Donald Trump will leave behind. Not one. Everything that is happening now in real time, everything that all of us in the US of A is experiencing, and I'm sure people around the world, they're feeling the domino effect, but it's nothing like what we're experiencing here. Nothing at all. It does not compare. When you think about the legacy that Donald Trump is going to leave behind is a whole bunch of books that are going to be written about him, and not in a good way. So I'm going to go ahead and cover a little bit of the interview with Kristen Welker from Meet the Press, and then we're going to come back and discuss and wrap up this video.
On Friday, President Trump took his case to rural voters in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. At the invitation of the White House, we joined him at Custer Farms and had a wide-ranging interview that was unfortunately interrupted multiple times by the stormy weather overhead. President Trump, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. We are going to talk about your visit while you're here in Wisconsin, but I'd like to start off by talking about the major issue that you are focused on every day, which is Iran. Mm-hmm. Sunday will mark 100 days since the first strikes. Your Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, said that the war had concluded. And yet just this week, Iran attacked U.S. allies in the region, calling it retaliation for a set of U.S. airstrikes. Is the United States at war with Iran?
Well, they've been largely decapitated, and I call it a military exercise because people would rather have it called that. It's not a big war for us. It's not. We have the most powerful military in the world. I built it, frankly. I built it in my first 4 years, and I'm using it a little bit in my second 4 years.
What is he talking about? So, I literally have to fact check everything that Donald Trump is saying. I don't know what's real and what's not sometimes. Remember when I told you, politics is not my thing. I got into this as a result of doing the history of cults from my Unfiltered Rabbit Hole, which I'm actually going to be recording the 3rd episode of my docuseries. So be sure to look out for that.
Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their anti-aircraft is gone. They might have built it up a little bit over the last 4 weeks during this little ceasefire that we did at the request of some very good people, very, very fine people from actually from numerous places. As you know, there are a lot of people involved, but from Pakistan in particular, the Field Marshal and the Prime Minister. And we're very close to having a deal, and if we don't have a deal, we'll do it one way or the other. Either way, we win.
There is a naval blockade in place,
yeah,
which technically is an act of war under international law. So is this a war as long as there's a naval blockade in place?
Well, we have a blockade. It's been extremely effective. And the reason we have it is they try to blockade, and now we blockaded them.
Did we? That's also the other thing. We don't own the Strait of Hormuz. We don't own it. So what the fuck are we blocking?
And as you know, they're losing $400 to $500 million a day. It's not sustainable for them. They have an economy that's shot in addition to everything else.
You know what? I mean, honestly, we would not be in this position if it wasn't for the United States and Israel starting in the first place. I'm just saying. My own personal opinion. I'm just saying, I'm going to fast forward to the beginning of his meltdown.
Bombers, they would right now have a nuclear weapon, and it could be that half of the world would be eradicated.
Let me ask you about the economy. You got a strong jobs report today that beat expectations.
Not strong. Really strong.
Beat expectations.
By how much? Triple.
172,000 jobs
Triple.
created. And yet, gas is up, diesel is up.
It's all coming down as soon as the war's over.
Well, 70% of farmers say they can't afford fertilizer. What's your message?
The farmers are doing very well.
Let me ask you, what is your message to farmers, many who support you, but who say they're struggling? Who say they're struggling?
Because there's nobody been better to farmers. You know, I gave farmers last term $28 billion because China took advantage and other people. And you know who paid for it? China. Last term. You know, I had a great first term. I had the greatest economy ever. And you know what? This one's blowing it away.
What's your message to farmers, though, Mr. President, who say they are struggling, they're struggling to make ends meet?
Are you ready? Am I allowed to talk? You keep asking questions and you don't listen to the answers. I love the farmers, and the farmers love me, and the farmers trust me. In the first term, I had something very similar. China and others were, and Canada, which was brutal, they were taking advantage of our farmers. They don't take advantage of it anymore. I gave them $28 billion split up. They never had a payday like that. And the farmers loved me, and they came back and they voted for me in record numbers. You know that. Nobody's ever even come close.
Let me just read something right quick here because I've read this before, okay? This is from the Army Talk Orientation Fact Sheet number 64. I've talked about it plenty of times. You can find this online. It's a PDF file. And I'm going to read the famous paragraph about fascism. Fascism is a government by the few and for the few. The objective is seizure and control of the economic, political, social, and cultural life of the state. Why? The democratic way of life interferes with the methods and desire for 1, conducting business, 2, living with their fellow men, 3, having a final say in matters concerning others as well as themselves. There's also another very important part here. I believe it's this one over here. This is the most important part. Okay, and let me just take this out for a minute so that I can read you this very important note that I've also read before in previous videos. The fascists promised everything to everyone. They would make the poor rich and the rich richer. To the farmers, the fascists promised land through elimination of large estates. To the workers, they promised elimination of unemployment, jobs for all at high wages. To the small businessmen, they promised more customers and profits through the elimination of large business enterprises. Meanwhile, everything that's happening now, these are the promises that they talked about making. We, the 92%, knew that these promises they were talking about was bullshit, okay? More. To big businessmen and the industrialists, they secretly promised greater security and promised through the elimination of small business competitors and trade unions and the crushing of socialists and communists. So you see, they're playing both sides. But in reality, they're only playing one side. And the side they were playing on was not your side.
Now, because of the fact that we had a choice, I had a choice to make. I could keep it going. The farmers were doing great. Fertilizer was very cheap. Everything was cheap. Gasoline was very low. Everything was very low. I could have kept it that way, but I said I have to take a little bit of a turn. The farmer's going to understand it better than anybody. We're going to have higher gasoline. We're going to have a little higher fertilizer, et cetera, but I'm going to get rid of a nuclear weapon in the hands of very dangerous people. Excuse me, wait. It should have been done for 47 years. No president had the guts to do it. I did it, and I've done it. It's almost complete. As soon as that's complete, gasoline prices are going to drop like a rock. You know, I was in Iowa speaking about farms, and it was before we attacked Iran. And I was in Iowa, and the prices were $1.85 a gallon, $1.91 a gallon.
Are gas prices going higher, or have they peaked?
They're going to come low, very low. They're going to go lower than they were before.
Have they peaked?
As soon, well, it depends. I mean, it depends where the war goes. It could be I'll have to give them a shot And it could be we'll sign an agreement. If we sign an agreement, it'll go down now. Otherwise, it'll go down after we're finished.
After this month's jobs report, economists now say it's possible the Fed may have to raise rates. Do you think that's possible, and what would your reaction be, sir?
So I'm of a different feeling. I think Kevin's fantastic, and I want him to do whatever he wants. I don't want to have a big influence on him. But we had a great report. We're doing great. And it's unfair that whenever you do great, they want to raise interest rates. It should be the opposite way. You know, if you go back 15 or 20 years, when you had good reports, the market went up. Nowadays, when you have good reports, the market goes down because they think they're going to raise interest rates. There's no reason to raise interest rates. The country becomes great. We built the country by doing great and having rates low. What they do is when they raise interest rates, they try and kill success.
And you know what? He's not helping in everything that he's doing. He's helping himself. But think of small businesses that are suffering right now as a result. Now, I'm going to fast forward over to the end when he has his meltdown.
People that could be picked by anybody, fair people, smart people, and they will go on an individual case basis.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what's going to happen with the weaponization fund. I love the idea because people like you, the fake, dirty press, the crooked press, people like stupid Biden, he's not smart enough to know what's going on, but people that surrounded him, surrounded his beautiful, resolute desk in the Oval Office, what they did to the lives of people, they destroyed people. They sent people to jail who did nothing wrong.
All right, just to be very clear, there's no evidence of what you're saying, but
There's
let me
a
ask
lot
you
of
about
evidence.
Todd Blanche. Let me ask you about Todd Blanche.
Listen to me.
It's amazing how he talks about that they sent innocent people to jail on January 6th on his watch because he was still the president while all of that was going on. Just an FYI. And everything that happened, them parading inside, shitting on the walls, these were all criminal acts. And we all saw it in real time. So for anyone to think, oh, they just calmly walked in there, my ex actually said that. They didn't calmly walk in there. They were terrorizing people. Let's not forget that cop that was screaming that was being crushed because of the J6ers. Let's not forget that.
Let's talk
There's
about Todd
tremendous evidence. There's nothing
What's
but
not been
evidence. The
presented in
election
a
was
court of
rigged.
law.
It was a dirty election.
Mr.
And it's
President,
happening again right now
You've
in
never
California.
presented evidence
It's happening
that the
right
2020
now in
election
California.
was rigged.
Right now, it's look at what's
Where's
happening
the
in
evidence
California.
to that?
It's
The
4
Republicans are
days.
doing well in California.
California, no, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days, and they aren't even close to coming up with it.
That's how they count
You know
the
why
votes
they're
in
doing that? Because
California.
they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support
All
that?
I have to do is look. All I have to
But
do is look.
that's not
And I
evidence.
listen. And I listen to people. And let's see what happens.
But sir, that's not evidence.
Do you think
and
it's appropriate
That's how they
that they
count the votes in
Do you
California.
think it's appropriate that they have an election and 5 days later they're nowhere close to picking a
State
winner?
and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the
crooked.
votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote
They're
in
crooked,
California.
just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
Really?
Let's
Well, you
continue.
play right into their hands. then.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid.
Let's
you play
continue.
right into their hands with this rap. You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But Mr. President,
you know why I
you've
got
never
that?
presented
Because you have no
evidence.
credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about. I want to talk about Todd
You
Blanche.
have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
Your
about.
elections
You
in
went
this
to
country,
court.
we're like a third world country.
But, sir-
Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and
But
Meet
Mr.
the Press is
But
crooked.
Mr.
This man is out of control. I've had enough. Seriously. I don't even know what to say anymore, to be honest. When I rewatch that, I mean, I've watched this several times. The anger, the going back to Biden, the going back to these rigged elections when they're not, all of a sudden, because he loses, it becomes a problem. It was never a problem before when he wasn't involved. And now that he's involved, everything has become a problem. And these are the major concerns people have when they're listening to somebody like Donald Trump, when they're listening to these so-called influencers who continue to spread misinformation about elections, about mail-in ballots, and everything that comes with elections. How do you find out about how elections work? Go online. Go to ballot. I think there's a ballot.org or something like that. I can't remember the name. Go to reputable websites. Not Fox News, not your local podcast bro. Trust me, bro. No, nothing like that. Go to people that have verifiable resources and information if you're curious on how elections work, on how votings work. Maybe get involved with voting yourself so that you can have that real world experience one-on-one. Anyone listening to this misinformation, you're never going to learn anything. If anything, you're going to continue spreading lies when you're believing the lies yourself. Like I said, I have no more words. It's like listening to an angry old person who doesn't know if he's coming or going. I'm trying to be empathetic for his sake, and I'm not, because I don't like him. I don't like what he stands for, and what he has done to this country is so awful. Everything that he has done has not been a good thing. The whole Project 2025, not a good thing. As I covered in one of my earlier videos of people having anxiety, regretting their votes, and they're upset. Look at what you voted for. You voted with the intent that he was going to drain the swamp and get rid of illegals, because anybody who spoke a different language was considered illegal. That's not the case. That's not the case here. This is the melting pot of everyone here. Their culture, their language, their food. We are privileged to be invited into that culture. And now, for some reason, it has become a bad thing. It was never like that before, but because you have racism embedded in so many people, and they think it's okay. They think it's okay to use the N-word. They think it's okay to safely assume that if somebody speaks a different language, they're not from here. There was a time where it was good to learn a second language. As a matter of fact, having that second language, you were more apt in getting a job where you spoke other languages as opposed to just speaking English. And now speaking another language has become a bad thing. How did we get here? We got here because of the internet, because of social media, because of misinformation. It's just a variety of things all wrapped up into one. How we unfold from it? Deconstruction. And people have to be willing to change. And if you're not willing to change, it's never going to happen. So this is Maribel Blue signing off. With all that being said, as always, remember, be good to yourself, be good to each other, and most importantly, take care of you. Bye, everybody.